Breaking across social media today was the reveal of several photos of the new Mini. This is the new Mini electric hatch. It's the one that we have been talking about on MotoringFile for the past, for a long time, but now we're seeing it. Kind of shocking, to be honest with you, because these are photos that have zero camouflage. They are completely exposing this new car, and it is really revealing around what is coming for the Mini brand. So let's dive in. First off, this is one of two Mini hatches that are going to be announced and will be released in the next 2 to 3 years. We mentioned this on MotoringFile the past couple of weeks and kind of gone into detail around the new petrol-powered hatch. That car is actually going to be a really a kind of a heavily modified F56. So what that means is Mini is trying to create a two-prong approach to solve for the fact that some parts of the world are going to be going electric sooner than others. So for instance, the United States will not be 100% electric by 2035 as Europe might be, just because of the vast amounts of space in between cities here. Australia is probably not that different as well. So Mini has to figure out a way to sell the petrol-powered car longer while investing in a brand new, all new electric Mini for the entire world, for those who are ready to move in that direction. And that's what we see here today. And that's what's so exciting. So this is it. I mean, we are looking at a car that is a clear evolution from where we've been at. But this is also pretty clean and quite frankly, stunning, really stunning. In this view, you see not just parking sensors, but if you look closely, you see a front camera just below the very small grille, if you will, above the license plate holder. That will point to a sort of a suite of driving aids that will probably be an L2 autonomy level. So it's going to be able to steer on highways. It's going to do some things that you could just have never thought Minis would get to so quickly. So that's exciting. Also the headlights. I mean, these are going to be all LEDs, but you also see these sort of interesting horizontal bars across both. We could look at that, and that could be some form of indicator. I mean, we'll have to see exactly what that is, but clearly it's going to be functional. And that's the other thing here. The design that we see is functionally driven. And I know that sounds really obvious, but for so long, Minis have had fake scoops and, just shapes and bulbous areas of the design that didn't serve a purpose. And when we think about what Mini did in 1959 and what the sort of the brand ethos has always been about, it's about utility, functionality, and in it, sort of this just inherent, just wonderful engineering that creates a great driving experience. That is what they intend to bring back in a little bit more of a puristic way as we move forward. So let's talk about the cabin inside. This is the thing that shocked a lot of folks as they first saw it. Number one, there is no instrument cluster. There is a heads-up display, which is looks like a larger version of what we have right now. And in the middle is a very large, seemingly single piece of curved or circular glass, not just curved, circular glass. That is quite frankly shocking at first glance. We don't know what's in it. We can only imagine it's amazing, but it is a really, really huge change from what we've seen in the past. Aesthetically, Mini has gone all in on reduction. We've known this for some time. We've talked to Oliver Himmler about this, and he's been very clear about the future path of Mini design, and we're seeing it here. I mean, this is a very clean design that's focused on, again, everything there having a purpose. And first glance, it's fascinating, and I really, really like what has happened here. Mini has reduced so many of the elements, frankly, eliminated them entirely. Trim that used to be there for just trim's sake is gone. I mean, it's just all about simplicity. And when you look at the original 1959 Mini, that's exactly what that car was about. And that's what we see here. Really, really exciting stuff. Down lower, you see, of course, a small armrest. The seats will not offer leather at all. So we're seeing some other material there, not sure what it is. And really simplistic climate control. You can imagine there's a start-stop down there, maybe a switch. There's some interesting things for sure. Steering wheel, of course, multifunction steering wheel, three spoke, and yeah, I mean it's exciting to see such a radical departure inside. We can only imagine what that technology behind that screen is. Around back, a lot of people have been freaked out about this. This is a almost like a Batman logo of a cluster, rear sort of light cluster. It is still hidden to a degree. Those are Union Jack sort of like triangles, if you will, on the side. Um, this is shocking for a lot of people. It's because it's different. I personally don't have fully formed opinion on it because I haven't seen it yet in person. Because it's hard for me to wrap my head around entirely. But listen, everything else I've seen in this car is really fascinating, and I think it's done exceptionally well. I have to trust many designers at this point. I assume once I see it in person, it's going to come together. It's a really interesting shape, and one thing is clear: this is not a derivative of anything else out there, which is kind of nice and something that I think many has to focus on. Not sure about the giant Cooper S in the back. That is a bit much, quite frankly, for me. We'll see if that changes at all. I assume it will not. But I think what is interesting is the hatch itself is very wide. So you're looking at a uh, theoretically a much wider load sort of zone. And from an overall size perspective, it's interesting. They're trying to maximize the size of this car. And let's flip to this next picture. And I think this is what is really telling. So when you think about the size of this car, it has been shrunk quite frankly. It's hard to sort of wrap your head around what is the actual sort of increase or decrease of new cars because you're seeing them, out of context. But when you look at that sunroof and you realize how that fits in there, it's quite clearly smaller than the current sunroof. And they had to, and they didn't have room to allow it to open up all the way, just vents. So I think it really brings home the point that this is a smaller Mini. The front specifically is where they've taken a lot of the volume out. They don't need all that space now. This is a bespoke electric platform. They don't need space for an engine, for an ICE powered engine. This is all electric, and it has a very, very small drivetrain in general. Batteries are under the floor. It's a skateboard chassis, and so they've been able to create an interior volume that's probably about the same, if not larger, in a smaller footprint. And that's exciting. That's what the brand should be about. We should really, really celebrate that. So it's a really exciting leak. You can also see the flush door handles there. You can see the revised sort of satellite and like data point on the roof. There's lots of things that I think are just really interesting, all in. So that is a quick look at this next generation Mini. It is a really exciting leak. You can read a lot more about it on MotoringFile. Lots of details around potential engine and I'm sorry, drivetrain specs, range specs. You can read about our take on a lot of the aspects of the interior and exterior design. So head over to MotoringFile and check that out.